Tonight, we unlock the iron gates of the 10 most haunted prisons in Scotland. Behind these ancient walls, darkness lingers. Whispers echo through empty corridors, and unseen hands reach from the past. Dare to follow us inside, where restless spirits still haunt their cells, and ghastly secrets wait in the shadows. Are you ready to face the sinister souls imprisoned forever? The chilling tale begins now. 1. The Old Toll Booth, Edinburgh. In the very heart of Edinburgh, beneath the relentless gaze of the city's ancient spires, stood the Old Toll Booth, a brooding fortress of stone that once choked the life from Scotland's most wretched souls. Known darkly as the Heart of Midlothian, its haunted masonry breathed misery and terror for centuries. The ringing echoes of iron bars slamming shut still seem to ripple through the air. At the foot of the old site, weathered cobbles testify to the countless condemned who shuffled out for their final, trembling walk into the cold embrace of the gallows. When night falls, and shadows curl like smoke against the ground, legend claims the whispers rise. Locals and unwary visitors have heard them. Thin, desperate voices muttering from alleyways or curling mournfully through the clutching Edinburgh mist. Sometimes, a sudden chill stabs the night. A fleeting vision, a flicker in the corner of one's eye, leaves hair bristling and skin icy with fear. For inside the old toll booth, agony and injustice have stained the very stones, and those who were chained, beaten, and silenced beneath its roof have not rested. They linger still, forever marking the spot where their terror became something unholy. Will you dare listen for them on a midnight stroll? 2. Invergarry Jail, Argyll and Bute. If you find yourself in Argyll as dusk pulls its shroud across the hills, spare a wary glance at the cold, imposing facade of Invergarry Jail. Once the seat of harsh justice and cruel punishments, these gray walls have soaked up centuries of agony, none more apparent than at night, when the air grows heavy with secrets. Visitors speak of ghostly wardens pacing the flagstone corridors, their boots echoing long after they should have faded into dust. Disembodied cries drift from empty cells, begging for mercy the living can never offer. Some say a pale, ragged specter lingers in the women's wing, face pressed against the ancient bars, lost in silent despair. It is here, among the crumbling stones and rusted iron, that the chill creeps up your spine, an icy breath of something watching just out of sight. Flickering lights ignite in vacant dungeons, vanishing when approached. Paranormal investigators report sudden drops in temperature. Others feel unseen hands brush their arms. In the dead of night, the heavy silence is shattered by distant footsteps, always coming closer, never seen. Step beyond the threshold at your peril, for Invergarry Jail does not easily yield its dead, and the condemned are said to keep their own midnight vigil. 3. Jedberg Castle Jail, Jedberg. Beneath the looming stone walls of Jedberg Castle Jail, silence seldom lingers for long. The air here is heavy with ancient dread, a suffocating blend of suffering and hopelessness that seeps from every old flagstone. It is said that within these haunted halls, the cries of long-dead prisoners still echo, desperate pleas for mercy, or the chilling laughter of those driven mad by solitude. Shadows drift in the periphery, flickering where candlelight refuses to reach, and countless visitors have recoiled at the sensation of unseen hands grasping at their arms or ankles as they tread the cell-lined corridors. Some return pale-faced, claiming to have glimpsed the spirits of men and even children, their eyes hollow, lingering by rusted cell doors or melting into the darkness with a mournful sigh. On storm-lashed nights, a low, anguished wail is said to rise up from the dungeons, and staff speak of heavy footsteps pacing relentlessly when the building should be still. Few can shake the feeling that the suffering endured here has never truly faded, that the walls themselves harbor memories too grim to forget, eager to pull the living into their shadowy embrace. Would you dare spend a night among the unquiet dead of Jedberg Castle Jail? 4. Stirling Old Town Jail, Stirling. Perched atop the ancient heart of Stirling, the Old Town Jail broods beneath a sky heavy with secrets. Its foreboding Victorian walls, stark against the bitter wind, seem to tremble with centuries of anguish. By day, the gray stone casts long shadows. By night, darkness presses close, wary of what stirs within. Locals whisper of a chilling presence, a spectral warden who patrols the cell blocks, and prisoners whose lamentations never ceased with death. Visitors speak of icy drafts, circling locked doors, and the hair-raising clatter of unseen footsteps resounding from empty galleries. Some swear they glimpse gaunt faces at the barred windows, lips twisted in eternal despair, while the persistent clang of ancient keys echoes where none tread. In the deepest hours, when the world sleeps, unsettling knocks disrupt the silence, and whispers bleed from the cold walls. Names repeated, sobs unanswered. It is said the ghosts of the damned are trapped in a ceaseless loop of suffering, replaying the horrors of confinement and judgment. Who lingers within these walls? Prisoners or something darker? Should you visit Stirling Old Town Jail, beware the chill that prickles your skin and the shadows that stretch just a little too far behind you. 5. Aberdeen. Tollbooth, Aberdeen. Beneath the looming spire of the Aberdeen Tollbooth, darkness settles like a shroud each night, whispering reminders of centuries steeped in misery. Its thick granite walls, once echoing with the cries of the condemned, now harbor restless secrets that refuse to fade. Locals avoid the place after dusk, swearing they have seen ghostly faces peering from barred windows, their mouths forever twisted in silent pleas. Shadows flicker along the narrow stairways, and visitors report sudden blasts of unnatural cold, as if a phantom hand brushes through them in warning. Once a grim hub of captivity, torture, and execution, the Tollbooth's very stones seem to vibrate with ancient agonies. Time and again, tourists and staff alike tell tales of objects moving by invisible force, creaking doors that slam tightly shut behind them, and a persistent sense of being watched by eyes that no longer belong to the living. Some have heard muted sobbing below the foot of the stairs, or felt the unmistakable pressure of unseen fingers lingering on their shoulders. Those who linger too long in its gloom often find themselves hurrying back into the daylight, afraid they might become part of the Tollbooth's next chilling legend. 6. Glasgow. Tollbooth, Glasgow. In the heart of Glasgow's old quarter stands the crumbling remnant of Glasgow Tollbooth, a hulking stone edifice whose weather-beaten walls have absorbed centuries of desperation and death. Long after its doors slammed shut, the air inside remains cold and heavy, thick with the sorrow of those who met their fate upon the gallows just outside. At dusk, when the city noise fades into uneasy silence, it is said the shadows here lengthen with intent. Guttering candlelight once flickered in dank corridors, where condemned men paced their final hours. Today, ghostly orbs float through these same corridors, casting an unnatural glow over corroded iron bars. Visitors whisper of voices echoing from empty cells, low and pleading, as if the hanged themselves demand justice denied in life. Sometimes, a fleeting silhouette appears at the stairwell, its face featureless, pausing just long enough to send chills through any who dare linger. Old records detail how those who swung from the Tollbooth scaffold were often buried in secret, their souls denied peace. To walk here after nightfall is to invite cold breaths on the nape of your neck, a reminder that Glasgow tollbooth's dead are neither silent nor gone. 7. Fort George, Military Prison, Inverness. The cold wind off the Moray Firth does little to explain the shivers that crawl across your skin as you step into the former military prison at Fort George. Once a fortress enforcing iron discipline, these echoing barracks have imprisoned more than just rebellious soldiers. They say at dusk, when the last shafts of sunlight die against the high, unforgiving walls, the halls fill with an unnatural heaviness, a breathless silence broken only by a distant clanking of unseen chains. Some claim to hear the steady tramp of boots on the stone. Others feel watchful eyes trained on them from behind cell doors that should be long empty. Shadows gather in corners where the most defiant prisoners were once confined, tortured by nightmares of the punishment block. Visitors speak of icy drafts, the clatter of military gear with no mortal hand to move it, and, late at night, the anguished murmurs of souls craving freedom. Here, among exhibits of weapons and uniforms, a deeper history persists. A spectral regiment cursed to march, their sentences never served. In Fort George's relentless hush, you sense it. This prison remembers every wrong, and those who suffered here have not all moved on. 8. Peterhead Prison, Aberdeenshire. Few places in Scotland inspire dread like Peterhead Prison, infamous for its iron discipline and harsh regime. Known as Scotland's Alcatraz, this grim fortress at the windswept edge of Aberdeenshire once held the nation's most dangerous men. Its blood-chilled halls echo with stories of desperate riots, savage punishments, and lives broken behind bolted doors. Today, tour guides hurry nervous visitors through echoing blocks and bleak isolation cells. But not even daylight can banish the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes from within the shadows. Those who have walked these stone corridors after sunset speak of doors slamming shut with shuddering force, of chains rattling just beyond sight, and bursts of icy air spraying from nowhere. Flickering lamps reveal the fleeting forms of silent wardens and former inmates, their expressions twisted by loss and rage. Guards tell of ghostly footsteps trailing them in empty wings, and whispers weaving through the night like a cold breath at the neck. Some claim the spirits of the vanished prisoners still roam, furious at their fate, driven to terrorize the living. When darkness falls at Peterhead, even the bravest remember that not all who check in ever truly leave. 9. Greenock Prison, Greenock. There are dark corners in Greenock Prison no light can reach, even in the brightest hours. Locals say when dusk falls and a damp mist creeps in from the nearby river, the old stone blocks sigh with the burden of memories too grim to forget. Once, this fortress of punishment echoed with the clatter of chains and the desperate wails of broken men. Now, those same cries seem to seep from the walls, growing louder with the approach of midnight. Brave souls who have dared wander its haunted halls after dusk tell stories of flickering shadows sliding along the cold, bare cells where no living man walks. Doors, sealed tight for years, have been witnessed swinging wide without a touch, filling chambers with a freezing gust that steals the breath and chills the blood. Paranormal enthusiasts speak of spectral shapes materializing in the gloom, some faceless, others twisted in agony, each with a silent scream trapped on pallid lips. It is said the anguished spirits of wronged inmates roam these halls, searching endlessly for justice or vengeance. In Greenock Prison, long after the last prisoner's lament faded from mortal ears, something restless remains, waiting just beyond the threshold of shadow and silence. 10. Canongate Toll Booth, Edinburgh. On the dimly lit stretch of Edinburgh's Royal Mile stands the forbidding silhouette of Canongate Toll Booth, its clock still keeping a silent vigil over centuries of misery and accusation. Locals avoid its looming stone archway after dark, and with good reason. Rumors persist that not all who entered its cells ever truly left. Through those thick, shadowy walls, the moans of the wrongfully convicted are said to echo in the hush of night, as lantern light warps and flickers across moss-stained cobbles. Sometimes, passers-by catch fleeting shapes gliding from window to window, their faces twisted in grief and confusion, forever peering out in hope of justice that never came. Cold gusts swirl inexplicably around the threshold, and visitors report sudden, icy tingles on their necks, as if unseen hands are reaching out from the darkness within. The air itself is heavy with bitterness and regret, as though each ancient stone is steeped in the suffering of innocent souls who spent their last days in terror beneath its spire. Many wonder, in whispered tones, what unseen eyes follow them through the mist, and who, or what, might touch them gently on the shoulder, only to vanish when they turn to look. As the shadows of Scotland's haunted prisons stretch across the centuries, their secrets still whisper through stone and darkness. Do you dare visit, or are you content to watch from the safety of your screen? Like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, in the silence of night, some doors never stay closed.